Many of us have heard of the black market from jokes, from snippets here and there on TV shows, like, oh, buy it on the black market, right? Can you explain for someone who doesn't know, what does the black market encompass, and then what is the gray market?
Yeah, so the difference between the two is that the black market is everything that's illegal. So if you're buying guns illegally or drugs illegally or scamming people, robbing people, killing people, that's all part of the black market. The gray market is more gray.
The connection to taxes is obviously interesting, meaning that in an ideal world, all the money that's being created is sort of above board so that it can contribute to the greater society. But there's also a much bigger implication to people's lives, right? Like, not only are they at risk, for example, of a crypto scam, which we can discuss, or a love scam, which is maybe some of the most compelling emotional content, but if a third of the world's economy is operating in this area, there's no rules, there's no safety, there's no regulation. Can you describe maybe some of the potential impact, even peripherally, if this is how the world is working?
I mean, it's gigantic, right? There's a whole world out there that, like you said, there is no safety, no security. I think a good example, most people don't think about this, but we did an episode about fake medications, fake pharmaceuticals, and how 20 million Americans can't afford their life-saving medication sometimes and have to resort to the black market pharmaceuticals. And that's going to labs that are often in India, where you can order stuff online, or going across the border into Mexico. So we went to both of those countries to understand how the pharmaceuticals, how these fake medications are being made. And the problem is that a lot of them don't actually have the active ingredients that they have. And worse than that, a lot of them are mixed in with incredibly dangerous chemicals that American consumers are taking and using, and has led to deaths around the world. So it's this sort of world where there are no real rules, there is no safety, and where it's dangerous for everyone.
The trust people have in our institutions, especially here, in the United States, is dwindling, right? And in many cases, people don't have trust in pharmaceutical companies, doctors, what we're being told. How do you balance sort of what you do with also the very human need for people to get the care that they want, for example? I mean, I know people who go south of the border, for lots of treatments. How do you sort of balance that? Because obviously it's important for things to be above board. It's important for things to be verified. It's important for things to be, accounted for.
Yeah, I certainly don't blame the consumers for doing it. I think the biggest message that I try to weave through my work all the time is that we shouldn't be blaming the people. We should be blaming the systems. It is because of broken systems that we have undocumented immigrants in this country, right? It is because of broken systems that we have a drug trade and drug epidemic that has killed 1 million Americans in the last 20 years. These are all issues of system, systems that are failing people. And it's in those situations where ultimately you either have consumers or the users of those black markets that have to resort to those black markets, or you have the people that are willingly operating in these black markets. No one is born wanting to be a criminal, right? You don't wake up one day either and decide, hey, I just want to start trafficking drugs. It is the majority of cases, not always, but the majority of cases, the lack of choices, the lack of opportunities that lead people to these lives of crime. And as long as there's inequality in this world, there is going to be growing violence and the booming black markets that exist around us.
What is it about the vulnerability that you've sort of seen that runs through all of these different kinds of cases that you are involved in?
Whether I'm interviewing a victim or I'm interviewing the perpetrator, I find out that their stories are very similar. That often it's the same, again, broken systems that has led them to that path. I remember interviewing one of the longest interviews I've ever done, actually, was with an assassin in South Africa. Now, this is not somebody that we obviously do not condone what he does. Just don't imagine understanding or connecting to a person who's ultimately killing people, right? The worst of the worst thing you can possibly do. And yet we spent 2-3 hours talking. And at the end, what he told me, his life story was that his parents had been killed when he was 8 or 9 years old, didn't have family that took him over, was on the streets basically, spent most of his life on the streets, went into the drug trade, eventually became an assassin, started using drugs in order to be able to kill people. And he saw the world as very black and white, right? It was bad people. He was just killing bad people. That's how he moralized it. And he would never, ever touch women or children, only bad men. And when I asked him, but have you realized that what you're doing to other children is exactly what was done to you, right? And he stopped for a second and says, no, I've never even thought of that. At the end of the interview, he came to me and he said, look, you were the first person ever that was interested in my life. No one ever asked me. Nobody ever wanted to know anything about me. Literally, no one wanted to know about my life or why I do what I do. And he said, I've been wanting to get out of this for a long time, and I'm going to try and find a way out. I'm not saying that it was because of this conversation, but I do think conversations like these are incredibly important. Understanding the problem, understanding the root cause of all these problems, of all these black markets, is the only way that we can prevent them from existing. We can build all the walls, we can spend all the money on law enforcement we want, all the money on the drug trade, on fighting drugs, on the drug war, have done nothing to prevent the drug trade in this country, right? So unless we understand what's at the root of all of these problems, and that starts by asking questions, even of the people that we don't agree with, we're not going to change anything.